Good evening, everyone. Welcome towards match day number 3 of the North American division of the ESL Pro League. We are in Season 6 in Pili. These are matchups which, once again, you are very, very excited to see.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first one we've got coming up, I believe, is Rogue versus compLexity, so that should be a very interesting game. We saw Rogue play yesterday, and, you know, they didn't have too much luck against Optic, apart from maybe on Mirage, where they have a couple of good rounds, and Vice really impressed us, but we'll see how they go today against compLexity.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at the standings after just 2 match days. Not all teams have played yet, but we do see Optic far in the lead, 4-0, but they did have probably some of the more easier matches against some of the developmental teams. And even though they had 3 people from EU, it's just the difference in caliber, I guess, at the end of the day.
No one really put up a fight against them, so they definitely showed their cut above at least the Tier 2 teams. So
Rogue kind of did on Mirage. I mean, Rogue definitely stepped it up on Mirage. They did show some better fighting, considering that they had 2 stand-ins and they've actually lost Wardell. So
yeah, definitely. I would say that at least that map was a little bit of a contest, but as soon as Optic brought in that adjustment with the double AWP, it wasn't really too much of a contest from that point forward. So
yeah, and for the rest of them, obviously, SK Gaming near the top. They did go 1-1 apiece with Liquid, but probably the big upset yesterday, Liquid went 1-1 apiece against Ghost Gaming. And that was really in part, I did look at the stats afterwards, thanks to their coach / fill-in B. He went 1.25, I believe it was, on Nuke.
Yeah, he went absolutely huge. He had some big impact plays. I remember that ace in the pistol round. That was absolutely huge. I believe they were 2v5. So on Nuke, he really brought it through for the boys, and he wasn't too bad on Mirage either. So definitely playing very well until they get Neptune in.
Yeah, and I mean, the rest of the team contributed as well. Connor 93, it was rough on Mirage, losing a few one-on-ones, but definitely brought it back towards the end. But that is enough of yesterday's results on towards today. So, well, we do have to kind of look at yesterday and kind of focus, because Rogue, I mean, they played yesterday. It was an absolute blasting on Overpass, which is going to be our first map. They're going to have to probably rethink their strategies, especially on the T side. I mean, they were up against much stronger caliber opponents. Not saying that compLexity are any slouches, but there's a big difference between Optic's lineup and compLexity's lineup.
Yeah, hopefully they've learned some hard-learned lessons that they learned against Optic yesterday, and they'll be able to come in with a slightly new approach and maybe be able to compete against the team that's more sort of up to their pay grade in compLexity.
Yeah, as well, speaking of pay grades as well as Developmental League, the ECA Mountain Dew Developmental League, this is where Rogue Gaming did come out of, alongside with Splice, which we'll be seeing up against Renegades later on this evening, as well as Ghost Gaming, which we've been giving a lot of, I guess, credit for that Nuke game. It still remains to be seen whether or not they've got what it takes to kind of, you know, go deep into the season. But these developmental teams, sure, they've been kind of struggling, maybe against Optic because they can't do the same amount of preparation. But we saw Rogue, they definitely had their, I guess, strategies that they wanted to use coming in towards it. And hopefully that from the, you know, the developmental Mountain Dew League, they'll be able to come forward and actually learn a lot more in towards this Pro League so they can further refine and develop their strategies, as well as their counter strategies to some, I guess, part. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're completely right. I would say that they have some very refined strategies in terms of the very basics. When they were doing contact A's out on Mirage against Optic yesterday, it was very, very effective. But they definitely need to develop their playbook and have a couple of extra strategies to throw once the spanner gets thrown in the works and adjustment comes in and they're not able to deal with it from the other teams. So, yeah, definitely need to develop as they're coming in from the Development League and learn some hard lessons here in the Pro League.
Looking at the schedule today for match day number 3 of the Pro League on this stream, we've been talking about Rogue and compLexity later tonight. It is going to be Renegades up against Splice, and let's see how Renegades 5th goes into the lineup on the mainstream. It is going to be Misfits versus Luminosity. Luminosity Gaming will be trying to take a couple of map picks for themselves, but Misfits, they were in pretty good form yesterday, going 1-1 apiece for CLG, which is a pretty good result for both sides, more so for Misfits. And later on tonight, what a matchup. Immortals up against SK Gaming.
I actually don't mind either of those matchups. Misfits and Luminosity should at least be a hard-fought contest. They're two teams that should be fairly competitive with each other, so that should be a very interesting match. And then you can't go past Immortals and SK. It's always interesting when these two come up against each other. They've played each other so much, so you always get some interesting Counter-Strike.
Absolutely. But for our side, Rogue and compLexity, this is a lineup where a lot of, well, I shouldn't say lineup, matchup where a lot of people kind of go, it's towards the bottom end. But you'd also argue as well, this is where it's more exciting because this is where teams really kind of you can kind of see where the teams are struggling against each other and how they're actually making the steps into making the adaptations.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you've got Slemmy in-game leading for compLexity. They've had a couple of lineup changes recently with Peter coming in from Energy, and then you've got Rogue with a couple of stand-ins. Maybe not the lineup that they want to be playing with. They'd rather have Wrath instead of Uber, I'm sure, but we'll see what they're able to do here. They got absolutely smashed on this map against Optic yesterday, so maybe they'll be able to apply a few of the things that they learned and have a better showing today here against compLexity. Let's hope so.
compLexity, though, on to a pretty strong start this season so far. They actually did take down Renegades 2-0, coming to one of the recent results in my mind. And definitely not a lineup to be laughing at. Slemmy, he's been around the scene for ages, and now he's got these strong players that he can kind of maneuver around a lot better. You do have Android. Android has been touted as one of the talents for the NA scene for quite a while, but he's never really, I guess, shown that form against some of the stronger teams. So today, a great performance out of him would be good, but he also needs to bring that form against teams such as Liquid, such as CLG, such as Cloud9, and the Brazilian powerhouses.
Yeah, you definitely expect the performance out of Android to be playing really well in this game. He's used to playing against teams of this caliber, and he's shown that he's able to dispatch them fairly handily. It's just about whether the other guys show up, but I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to. Be interesting to see if Cole's going to double AWP very much. I mean, I think Yaster was AWPing a fair bit for them when he first came into the lineup, but now they've got Peter, who is undoubtedly at least, one of the better AWPers in NA. So they definitely have an interesting lineup. They've got a fair bit of talent, and they've got, Slemmy tightly holding the reins there. So it'll be interesting to see how they play and how they continue to develop here against Rogue.
Well, I believe that it will be Yaster who will be picking up the second AWP if they do decide to go for it on the CT side. So Rogue will have to push compLexity to picking up the second AWP, so they'd have to drop a few rounds before they go, all right, let's start changing things up with the second AWP, and let's see if Yaster, or if they do need the second AWP to make an impact on either the B or A side on the CT side. But on the side of Rogue, I mean, it is a bit rough. Talking about AWPers, they have lost Wardell, and what unfortunate timing, just before they were about to play the first Pro League match. Now Whitmer is the primary AWPer, I'd say, at this stage, but do you think the Riflers on Vice, as well as, I mean, sometimes we saw Hiko going in towards that vintage form yesterday. Do you think that rifling power is enough to compensate for the fact that they are kind of using two stand-ins?
I would say it's always going to be difficult playing with stand-ins, and that the stand-ins need to play up to par, but the long-time members of the roster need to overperform to make up for that, or they need to overperform in terms of strategy and all get on the same page and have a good idea of what's going on. So, especially on a map like Overpass, AWPing is so important because you got all those long angles of sight. The CT defense is not so straightforward. You have to play sort of more of a transitional defense with the AWP, where he can take, even 3-4 angles on that A site before the T's can even make it to the A bomb site. So it's always very, very important to have a strong AWPer on Overpass.
So you'd obviously pick compLexity to take Overpass.
I'm not too sure. We'll see. I'm not too familiar with them playing each other, but I would say in general on most maps you'd tout compLexity to take out the map just because of the stand-in factor and the fact that they seem to be a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more prepared, and definitely have the stronger AWPer at this point. So I would say compLexity should be a fair shot.
Well, the odds do show compLexity quite decently in their favour. I mean, we did see bigger odds yesterday, where anyone putting any money on Ghost would be a very, very happy person. I still wouldn't say that it's completely undoable for Rogue, especially on their own map pick, but it's just going to be a hard struggle, and they have to show a lot more on the T side than they did yesterday. Arguably, when you're versing a team like Optic, who didn't really have strategies, you can't prepare. And we saw going even back towards Ghost Gaming, because I know we're using a lot of reference, but we have been seeing Ghost Gaming quite a lot in these last 2 days. When they were versing Optic, they got completely hammered because they didn't know how to read in towards the situation, whereas when they were versing Liquid, they clearly did that homework, they were prepared. So would you believe that Rogue, to a similar extent, would be prepared for what compLexity bring on Overpass, or not as prepared?
I'm not too sure. I mean, they're not the newest team. They've had a little bit of time, but of course it's really hard to sort of prepare for your opponent when you're always slotting in players. I think that it always takes more time when you've got a stand-in to sort of just prepare your own team for your own game, making sure the guys put in the right roles that he's feeling comfortable, or that other people are just sure that he's going to fill in the roles that the other people in the team would usually fill in. So you don't have as much time to sort of counter-strike your opponent or prepare for what your opponent's going to do. I'd say you have to be more focused on what you're going to do, bringing the stand-in factor.
Well, they are going to be starting most likely on the T side. It was also Rogue will be most likely starting on the T side since it was their map pick.
Interesting that they go for the map that they didn't perform well on yesterday. They must be at least confident that they learnt a few lessons against Optic, or maybe they just think it's a bit of a one-off and that it's not going to happen again.
It might just be a one-off as well, because Mixwell, it was a lot of the time on Overpass, we talk about that B-side control as being so critical, and we saw Mixwell just pushing towards short, taking unders control. But Rogue would never settle on their T side. They could never actually take control of the map without either losing members or utilizing a lot of early utility because of what Optic's earlier game aggression did towards them, and they never really got into the groove. It's just going to be a matter of whether complexity can do the same towards Rogue. Can they unsettle Rogue, or will they be able to kind of just sit back and do their own thing?
Yeah, I'm hoping Rogue shows us a lot more on their T side here. I mean, yesterday against Optic, there wasn't really much that they could do. Optic was playing so aggressive on that short B, and even Magis pushing up to the fountain to disrupt what they were doing. They had to send 3 to 4 people towards short B or up into that party area just because they needed to trade frag the guy who was going so aggressive on them. And when you're versing, tier 1 players like Optic has, you need to trade, 2 or 3 even people for one person, and then get into those scrappy, 2v2s, 3v3s and close those out. So we might be looking at a little bit different of a game, and maybe hopefully Rogue will be able to execute their game plan that they might have had a little bit better without it getting disrupted too heavily.
So who would be the players to watch in this one?
I mean, you got to go with Vice because he played quite well against Optic. He had some big impact rounds. I mean, he was the only reason they were even winning rounds on Overpass yesterday. He had some good impact, 2 to 3 Ks. He had a couple of rounds where he got he basically won them the 3v3 situation that ended after, the trade frags came in and stuff like that. So should be pretty interesting to watch if he performs as well as he did yesterday. And the other two being Hiko and Shinobi played quite decently. They had their moments as well. So, Whitmer's going to need to step up on the AWP, especially on Overpass, if they want to perform well. And Uber, he had a bit of a shocker yesterday, but I think he's been a bit inactive lately. So hopefully he's put a bit of hours into DM and he's able to come in a bit stronger into this game.
And we can see that as well. A lot of the first day, I know we're always going back towards the Ghost Gaming analogy, but it's always, you can kind of look at the similarities between these teams where B, he may have been coaching for quite a while, had to sub in. He looked a little bit cold on day number 1 and match day number 1. And then match day number 2, it looked like he sunk some time into pistols or in towards that DM. And his aim was quite crisp as well. So hopefully it does allow Uber to get settled back in towards matters. And you're right, Hiko was in vintage form at some of the maps yesterday where I just remember that 2 double tap, that headshot on towards that A-site Mirage. It was absolutely clean, and you're talking about that's the difference between a risk gamer and a low sensitivity gamer.
Yeah. I mean, the wrist aim can always provide for moments where you can make raw adjustments with your aim that you can't do if you're going for a lower sensitivity where you have, more sort of elbow arm movements and you're going for more consistency in your aim, especially over the long ranges and with rifles and stuff, trying to control your spray in small bursts. But when you've got that high sensitivity, you can have those sort of high impact sort of one taps, in quick succession. So you see it with people like Scream. Hiko's not really known as much for his aim, more sort of his positioning and his smarts and stuff like that. But every now and then you get one of those moments, like his pistol against Get Right that we've all seen the clip of and stuff like that.
And complexity. So we've probably just analyzed all of Rogue. Complexity, let's just go a little bit more over them. So you obviously we always talk about Slemmy, so we don't need to probably hype him up as much. He's earned the accolades over the years. What about the rest of the team? Peter, he's been kind of known as being an online AWP, really.
And we are playing online,
so
he shouldn't have too much pressure going in against a team like Rogue. He should be used to playing against this level of competition and, playing in this form in NRG. He's had plenty of experience playing at places like Copenhagen Games and against, the sort of tier 2 of European competition and stuff like that. So there should be no problem for him. It should just be another day at the office for Peter. He should have at least reasonable performance, if not playing quite well on maps that are important with the AWP like Overpass. So he should be an interesting player to watch as well.
And depth in terms of depth as well as Yeaster. It'll be good to kind of see Yeaster actually step it up as well. The new addition to the team, kind of the youngster, really, towards.
Yeah, so he had a couple of pretty decent maps. while he's been playing under the compLexity roster. So he's a pretty interesting player to watch. He should only improve and have an upward trajectory as he works more with Slemmy and they work out what he's good at and stuff like that. As for Def, I'm not as familiar with his play. However, I'm sure that now that Yeaster's coming in as a secondary AWP and they've got Peter on the primary AWP, he's going to have to sort of reinvent himself a little bit more in this team. He's not going to be able to go towards that AWP ever, or very often at least, and he's going to have to focus more on the rifling kind of thing. So be interesting to see how that kind of works. Who's going to play the more aggressive sort of riflers, who's going to take map control and be that person to lead the charge on the T side, and who's going to play those sort of anchor roles on the CT side. I know that Android's quite good at his anchoring on the CT side and stuff like that. He always has a high impact. I remember plenty of clips with him with the M4A1S getting multiple kills in quick succession. So it should be quite interesting to see how this team comes together and develops for compLexity. I'm sure they definitely don't have it all worked out, and Rogue a little bit more of an unknown factor, as well as the main reason this lineup's formed, I'm assuming, is because they're keen to take advantage of that Enigma 6 spot that they've inherited and do as well as they can in this Pro League. So, hopefully if they can take a couple of matches and keep on an upward trajectory until they get their proper fifth to come in, hopefully to go 1-1 is the aim for Rogue here, and compLexity probably looking for the 2-0. Would you agree?
Absolutely. For compLexity, a 2-0 is absolutely critical. Last season, they were down towards the bottom, but once again, their roster didn't really have the tactical depth that they do have this season. They had one star player, but they didn't have that really, really insane kind of AWPer in Peter, where Peter was dropping so many stats for NRG earlier on in the season. So hopefully he's able to do the same.
Interesting to see here, actually. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's
no,
right.
Vice has run back for the armor, so he just forgot to buy armor. Def gone for the smoke and kit. Pretty underrated, actually, to get a smoke and a kit on most CT pistols. It allows for situations where when you're retaking the bomb site after the T's are planted, you can actually smoke defuse quite easily. So
I liked how compLexity actually stacked forward towards the B site. So they obviously were watching the demo yesterday, and Rogue going to be trying something different as well. Yesterday against Optic, I think they just went fast on towards the B site. compLexity actually had 4 on the B site that time. But they now settled down more towards the default. They've lost this towards control very early on because they didn't contest it. And now Def has spotted out multiple people towards Long. He's trying to make contact. He does only have one teammate. Needs to be careful. Does have that smoke and kit. Doesn't want to be losing his life just yet. Shinobi and Vice pushing on towards the site. Vice trying to find the pick. Actually, Shinobi finding Def as well. Peter missing a lot of those P2K shots. And now Hiko coming in. But no! He can't get the headshot in time. And Peter with 2 on low HP. He was whiffing early, but not whiffing anymore. Smoke towards Bank allows Yeaster to push out and get the pick on towards Vice. And Yeaster with 2 now, with 3. And compLexity, they do concede the bomb plant, but they do take the pistol round.
yeah, very well done there. Rogue gave them absolutely no information at the start of that round, sort of walking up into the toilet, taking control, and then going for the long split through toilet and long A there. Good little bomb plant for Rogue. Actually, Vice has brought up armor. They're going to do something that's not too seen very often, which is where 1 or 2 players will drop over an AK and the player will force up armor and they'll try to win the round with the pistolers leading into a bomb site and the AK player. Interesting to see that that goes on to Vice. Obviously, he was in great form yesterday, so looking
For a beat push or attack from compLexity. Now Rogue steadily creeping their way towards the B bomb site, stacking up near short as well as Bonston. Look at that walking out. Shinobi's going to be making first contact, but the rifle's following directly afterwards. Slemmy just aims body at Vice. Okay, they know there's an AK now because Android's going to be digged down, but Yeaster's going to find 2. Yeaster finding 4, as a matter of fact, from the ABC position. So this AK is not worked out at all, and Yeaster with the ace. What a way to start off for the youngster.
That was an absolutely huge ace, and, worst case scenario, they didn't really get very much done, and now a bunch of their players have enough for AK armor. They are going to force into this round with 1 Galil, 3 AKs. They've got a techie with a bit of utility on Shinobi, so This will be an interesting force. Actually, lots of SMGs over there on the complexity side, so this could definitely punish them potentially here for Rogue if they're not able to take favorable engagements with those SMGs in the close ranges. So let's see how this works out for Rogue. This should be an interesting round to say the least.
Okay, the flashbang was not too good from the side of complexity, which means that Uber's going to get the first 2 kills, and Yeastar, well, he did get Yeastar the previous round, but he's going to step it up now, but he can't because Uber's actually picked up 3. Got to wait for the sub to... So, try to... Or...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting to see that SMG buys came in. They definitely weren't too sure of what was happening with the money over there on Rogue. They might have expected that they brought up, a couple of P250s and armor as well as dropping over that AK. They just assumed that, Rogue's going to go for the eco because they dropped over an AK. But a little bit of mind games coming out with the economy, and as Shinobi's able to pick up the M4 as well as winning the round, and Def is not able to save his gun. This is absolutely horrible for the complexity economy. There was a couple of rebuys coming out last round, so 2 of their players are suffering a little bit. With 4 alive in the last round, it wasn't too bad, and Yeastar getting himself plenty of kills, so he's got plenty of money. Going to drop some P250s and CZs over to his teammates, and they're just going to take the safe eco in this round. See if they can get a couple of guns off Rogue, force some rebuys, try to stop the bomb plant from coming out, and there shouldn't be any money bonus here for Rogue with all those rifles.
Everyone just chilling out towards the bathroom area. Going to be having a bathroom break. Rogue, though, they are lining up towards this A site area, so this becomes just a little bit scary if they do lose the bomb.
Don't mind this eco setup.
Where's that flashbang going? Are they going to push on the back of this flashbang?
Yeah, they're going to flash over the party area once Rogue takes a little bit of control, and then push out the toilet, try to get as many kills as they can. Pretty common strategy, I would say, but if they are going to go towards the long A area on the Rogue side, which is quite common.
Oh, they were far back. Yeastar's actually going to pick up 2 of the CZ, so has done well. But Vice completely blind. These are some great flashbangs coming out from Peter. As a matter of fact, that's great damage coming out from Peter and Yeastar because it means they picked up 4 kills on the pistols. And Whitmer flashes through once, doesn't know where the other one is. Players using
Yeah, it was great call there from complexity, stacking up the bathrooms. They recognize that it's quite common for most teams to take, party control or long A anti-eco. And Rogue's still got money for a buy here, and they're going to go for their contact B play, which we saw so much yesterday. Let's see if it's a bit more successful today.
But he's done, as long as he didn't lose that B site and force Rogue to not progress beyond that certain threshold, that was great.
Yeah, look, we're seeing it once again today here, Kev. Like, this Rogue B attack is just not working at all. They need to really stop moving away from picks a little bit and work from there. If they keep rushing out these rounds, this game's going to go quickly downhill from them, and they're not going to have the opportunity to adjust. A couple of Deagles coming out here for Rogue, just looking to do some economic damage here onto complexity, and complexity taking a foothold in the economic game in this back and forth sort of buy situation. Usually we don't see this many buys in the first couple of rounds of a series until the money loss bonus gets going, but a bit of a weird game. Let's see if Rogue is going to go for a B-bomb plant or an A-bomb plant. Looking for a couple of Deagle picks here. Peter going to pick off Vice, getting a bit aggressive up the toilets there. And Rogue going for a little bit of a boost. So I imagine this is going to end up in a B attack and see if they can get the bomb down. Best case scenario, unless somebody hits a couple of Deagle headshots in quick succession. Rogue just taking their time here, not rushing things too quickly.
Economy, or in control of their own economy, and try to deny Rogue's bomb plants. But now finally a full buy from both sides. This is going to be a good contest. It's starting to heat up towards the 7th round, as Whitmer's got the AWP in hand.
We do have that AWP v AWP battle coming out, and let's see if that's going to be a contest in this round here. Rogue hopefully looking to slow the play down. No more of these fast B monster players. Just look for some map control, see if they can establish themselves an early pick or some map control to give themselves a foothold in this round. Vice just defending the long A aggression. Def going aggressive up onto this fountain. I'm not sure if Rogue have spotted this. He's in a prime position to get 1 or 2 picks here as Rogue look to get party control. Peter instantly taking out Vice there, making him a non-factor in this round. 5 versus 4 here, and complexity's in a fantastic position.
This is a sick lurch. What a sick play coming out from Def and Peter.
Yeah, that's great patience there as just walks. Full bomb control here. They've given Rogue the B bomb site, which is not much use for them without the bomb, is it?
They just need to back off and just allow Rogue to self-destruct, and you can see Yaster already just taking care of the flank. He knows that Rogue can be towards the B site. They've conceded it. They don't want any sneaky B action. And Rogue is coming up towards Pop now. Not spotting anything just yet, because it's really just going to be Yaster making contact and potentially taking down 1 or 2. compLexity actually looking to get a little bit aggressive. Def wants more. He senses blood in the water, but Rogue decide, no, we can't really find anyone. We can't backstab any CTs. They're too aware, and compLexity will take 5 guns in the next round.
Got plenty of utility left over, so it's not too bad of a save. It's not like they're just saving AK armor, and yeah, not bad. Not bad to skip that little portion of the map. Don't mind it. As Def with the great backstab there in that round. I wouldn't even say that it was necessarily important, you know, after Peter just gets that first pick, but, you know,
it does change.
Little jab and then the uppercut from Def to finish it off. And from that point, Rogue was just KO'd and they couldn't get up. Flashbang coming out there to deny the AWP pick, and Rogue's going to go for some short B control. Don't want to speak too soon here, Kev, but this map pick of Overpass for this new team has not really been very successful.
Of the method.
Predicts. Unfortunately, Yace are just too good in this game. He's a standing need the AWP as Peter 2. In their own.
I mean, when Yace has 16 kills, I think he's got just about near equal. Not exactly equal, but near equal all the kills on the rest of his teammates.
It's like the Mixwell and Magisk show all over again. Rogue's just going, oh no, not again. Please stop. This happened yesterday.
It's painful.
And just to respond on what you said earlier, actually, Rogue coming out quick here through the party area with heavy numbers, but the Molotovs go down. Def spraying down 3. Shinobi attempting to
No need for them to charge for that incendiary grenade to try to catch 3 people off guard, as compLexity had Peter, Death, and Slemmy just waiting. They'll just go, oh, look, they're coming through. Death goes, oh, this is fun. Reminds me of the last round, or 2 rounds ago. Look at that, Peter's already on 16k. Yaster, 12k. So much money for compLexity to work with, and Rogue, tactical pause, but really what can you talk about at this stage? They have to make a turnabout right now, as a matter of fact, because compLexity's already won the half. compLexity just looking to do more damage right now.
They're taking far too quickly of an approach this game. They need to just kind of slow things down. I think, you know, every time the going gets rough for Rogue, they just seem to throw a fast round in there. They try to force the issue too much. Too many people through that monster area. Too many people up through that, you know, party area and stuff like that. So they need to, you know, chill out a little bit, go for the map control, try to punish some of these picks from compLexity, and then work off that. They need a decisive advantage in one of these rounds, as Shinobi goes for the AK armor. The rest of his team looks like they're going to go for a sort of semi-commitment of the money. They've got full loss bonus here, so if they do go for, you know, a sort of half buy in this round, it wouldn't be too bad. They'll have plenty of money next round to make sure that they're able to buy. A couple of Deagles coming out here, and a nice little spray down as they push through the molly from Def.
But just why would they push through 2 incendiary grenades? They're not going to... Even if they do get the kill, they're taking so much damage. And they still have so long to get on towards the A-bomb side as well.
Same mistakes over and over again.
Crucial, because kind of a bomb site a little bit further, as Android also finally finds a pick towards Monster. He's going to be happy trying to get back into the action of, or the swing of things. Android's going to pick up another one. Also, here's Vice. Now spots bomb as well. Oh, this is a good flashbang. Vice does turn around, completely blinded. Retrieves the AK-47. Now Whitmer. Oh no, Whitmer makes contact.
Yesterday, don't switched off. Don't see very keyed into what's happening around them, and they just need to sort of have a moment to chill out, get a consistent game plan coming in, you know, a consistent call coming in from the in-game leader, get a little bit of map control, and make sure they're all just focused on the game, focused on what they're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve both as individually and as a team, because a lot of the time they're caught off guard, they're not looking the right way, they're making some very questionable decisions, whether that's the in-game leader making certain calls or whether that's, you know, one player making a mistake and his other players are trying to compensate for it. I'm not sure of the inner workings of a team, but one thing's for sure, they are down 9-1 and they need to get some rounds here on the board.
Def just going to be smoking up close toilets. They know that Rogue most likely will be prowling, looking for a pick to try to swing the advantage in their favor, and Depth realizes the danger and decides he's a little bit out of his depth and backs out.
A little bit out of his depth.
Yeah.
Double smokes coming out. Quite common to delay the toilet control here as Peter posts on the inside angle of the toilets. They know that Rogue is not pushing up A control, which is going to mean they're going to have multiple players here on the B site waiting for the attack. 3 players here at B as Rogue posture up with 30 seconds to go. Flashbangs coming in. And 1 player left on the A bomb site for the flank as they fully rotate onto B. Attack coming in here from Rogue. They seem a little hesitant.
Yeah, but they're still encountering. Timing. It's a little bit on here. Peter can fall back, and then you just see him put Def pushing in. There's no one here. We can stack the B side, guys. What happens? Rogue completely surrounded from all sides. compLexity was still holding onto incendiary grenades, which is so important, because that just denies any further progression coming out from Rogue. And as a result, 10-1.
I mean, you know, they did slow down there, Kev, but they weren't forcing the CTs to use any of their utility. push here through the party. Incendiary grenade goes down, but problem Rogue, even when they are slowing down or they do have something go right for them, they are a little bit too hesitant. It doesn't seem like there's somebody on their roster that's just willing to take one for the boys and go straight in first and make a little bit of a take a little bit of a ground while his teammates come in after him, and that's being a really big problem here for Rogue. And they push through the end of the smoke. Like, I don't understand, because if you're going to wait for the smoke in the first place, you may as well just wait for, you know, the rest of it to fizzle out and then try to set up, you know, maybe even take a little bit of long A control instead of all coming through the bathrooms. But they just seem a little bit in two different minds of what's happening for Rogue. The time's running out and they make a hasty move before they necessarily need to.
It's becoming difficult as well because Rogue, they're really starting to... They're just not picking up their gameplay. And it's going to become even more complex coming in towards their own CT half, because compLexity is now completely warmed up. Yaster's on 20, Peter's on 15, Depth's on 12, Slemmy and Android, they've just done their job. Slemmy's just rotating around where he's needed, and Android, as long as he holds the monster position and gets either the damage or the informational play, that's all he needs to do. AK's Rogue is going.
Definitely huge impact in this round. Hiko with 2 over there on the B side. Looked like compLexity went for a little bit of a monster push. Def punishes Vice for going a little bit too aggressive there up long A, and looks like a 3 versus 4 situation here for Rogue. They are aware that 2 players did die on B. compLexity over-rotating just to try and compensate for that, and Rogue looks like they're setting up for the B play here.
Yeah, Slemmy's got to play the smoke so well, though, and Hiko, he might be able to read this perfectly as well, but they're coming in through short at the moment. Slemmy gets 1, won't be able to calibrate on towards Hiko, and Peter also finds Shinobi at the same time, so it's back down towards a 2-on-2, but Peter's just too good. Whitmer, what are you doing? You can't push that aggressively without Hiko, and that's just raw miscommunication. Hiko has to get the ace to take this right now. At the very least, he knows where the 2 players are right now, and he finds ahead of Peter. He also finds Def. Hiko, what an ace to try to bring back the Rogue.
One before close out the round in fantastic fashion. Even when the rest of your team's not all on the same page, only Hiko needs to be on the same page, and it doesn't matter if he's throwing incendiaries.
Oh, great trade out, and now Depth's in a lot of trouble. And Rogue just backing out. No.
Here on when you're down in numbers, to concede that short control over onto the enemy team, because it allows them to just go to either bomb site, rotating in and out of the connector as they please, and that's exactly what Rogue's going to go for here. Shinobi getting the pop flash ready for short B as his team postures out the door and they pile out.
But, oh, Yace is just waiting, but Android's able to get the trade. Whitmer's still locking down the line, though. But what? Spray control coming out. Hiko's now pushing in. Surely Android will be able to hear this, but Vice on the lurk will take down Depth and Slemmy comes forward just in time. Utilize. Not really. Nothing really to work with in the bank. compLexity, everything to work with.
Yeah, compLexity just look more experienced and more well-drilled than the Rogue lineup. They look like they have a good idea of what they need to do, not only as individuals, but as a team. Getting later into that round, they drop a man fairly early, but they say, we're not going to fall back despite having disadvantage. We're going to hold on to short B, we're going to hold on to the toilet control, and we're not going to let you get too much map control. And as soon as you make a mistake and you over-aggress too much on one part of the map, we're going to punish you for it. And that was the big defining factor in that round for compLexity.
So short water now conceded by compLexity. There's some good grenades. Just do a little bit of further damage, which might be just what they need. Is why does Shinobi only have a P250? Oh, might have dropped the AK for Vice.
He dropped the AK to Vice. It looks like they're leaning very heavily on Vice after his performance yesterday, but he's not been able to sort of replicate the same sort of form here against compLexity as he did yesterday against Optic.
Yeah, so just back against the smoke. He might be able to hear something because they're just moving around. Come right down. Cindery just stopping compLexity from progressing any further for now. And depth from behind. Once again, the lurk is going to be the big impact play because it's up to Hiko and Shinobi to make a difference. Peter just spotting out, hasn't spotted Hiko just yet. And there it is. What a reaction coming out from Peter. Now it's on to Shinobi. 1 on 3, 1 on 2.
Pick any T side. It's not looking good for them.
It looks even worse than yesterday. Let's see how the rest of the CT half will pan out for Rogue. Whether or not they can come back or not, we'll find out after a short break. Alright, welcome back towards halftime between Rogue as well as compLexity, and so far it's not really much of a contest. It's more of an absolute demolition derby right now for compLexity.
Yeah, it's one-sided as you would not really expect from two teams of this kind of level. You expected Rogue to step up a little bit more, show us what they've got, especially on their own map pick, but so far it's been the compLexity show, and especially Yaster showing that he's got no problem transitioning to a rifling role.
Slemmy and the boys coming out swinging, and that's exactly what kind of impact they wanted to have coming in towards Season 6. They didn't really have as much of a strong impact last season, but it was a different roster last season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they can continue to progress here. They've been in the Pro League a couple of seasons now, and they need to, as they've been upgrading their roster, upgrade their form and slowly sort of get some more upsets over better teams. Definitely showing that they're decisively better than a team of around their sort of caliber. So let's see if they're able to replicate that same sort of performance against the upper echelons of the Pro League.
Well, so far, we're taking our pre-game predictions. It was not going to be this one-sided. I mean, Rogue can still come back, but we're expecting something a little bit better. We're maybe expecting probably a 5-10 half. Would that be fair to argue?
Yeah, I would say so. Especially on your own map pick, you should have at least a couple of things sort of prepared. But complexity showing that at least in this match they're the better team, and Rogue, it's saying more sort of about Rogue than it is about complexity. Interesting to see complexity rolling out here with smoke flash on two of their players, getting some short B control, and probably going to set up two smokes on the B site as the flashes rain in. That is a smoke for the bridge to smoke off the ABC, so they will be piling up the short B area, and not sure where this other smoke's going to go. Let's see what happens here as they look to pile into the site. Just two smokes on the site, and flashes going over as the Glockers pile in, but Vice getting one, Shinobi with one, Uber cleaning up two, and Uber and Shinobi having no problem defending that. Flashes very ineffective for complexity as they try to pile into that site, straight into the CT's crosshairs, and they have absolutely no problem ripping their heads off.
Too easy for Rogue there, so some sign of life yet, and this is going to be absolutely critical. They might not be able to draw it all the way back to win the map, but bringing in some form, coming in towards train is going to be absolutely critical, especially on their own CT side when they start on train. They don't want to be giving away T side control. It is going to be a force up from complexity. Desert Eagles and P250s in hands with that body armor and some helmet on members. Smoke and flashbang on Peter.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to spread out, see if they can get some picks with those deagles, and then Peter's got the smoke and a flash, just in case, you know, they want to hit a site. They can at least smoke off one angle, get one flash in for the boys for some either some map control. Looks like he's going to use that on long A. Don't know if I really think that's necessary, to be honest. I reckon just go for a couple shoulders, see if you can gather some info. If you know someone's there, you can try to isolate him potentially. Flash goes out to clear the party angle, but this is the problem when you're playing Overpass sometimes. Luckily, they don't have any sort of longer range rifles than maybe a FAMAS or an UP, but, you know, once they do clear that party control, then they've got to clear a couple more angles to get to the actual bomb site.
Slemmy just making some noise at the unders area just to throw Rogue off and try to take short water control for complexity, but they are stacked up closer towards long A as opposed towards yellow side. Believe Android managed to transition towards the yellow side before Uber could spot him, and now the rest of complexity stacking up. Slemmy opens it up with a P250 on towards Whitmer, and there is a smoke grenade. They're towards long. They have to take the side, but look, come forward, but they're coming forward from complexity now down towards a 3-on-2. That is big.
I would say a little bit fortunate there for Rogue. They definitely shouldn't have been able to take out that round. Complexity getting the early pick, and Whitmer just being in two different minds from back. Next round, Complexity have about 5k, and we'll see a buy versus buy unless they pull off a miracle here in the eco. Interesting Molotov there from Shinobi.
I don't think it's very effective. Reminds me of my own grenades being thrown. A lot of fizzle, a lot of bang, but ultimately no effect whatsoever. And ooh, I think Shinobi is Slemmy. They're just making slow contact play. There are the flashbangs coming in towards the B bomb site. Come back.
Yeah. Same sort of form that he had yet. He's having a bit of a struggle in this game here against Complexity. Hiko definitely stepping up here for his team. Shinobi not doing too badly for himself either, and let's see how they end up going in this CT half. They need to string a couple more rounds together if they're going to come on the comeback train here. Complexity fully spread out, making sure they defend any aggression from the long A, getting some short B control, and Slemmy just holding on to the connector. Huge shot there from head of in
at a high great down subs, great to make sure they can't progress short, but as soon as those grenades go, Uber's the only one with grenades left, and he's now finally starting to rotate forward. He's given up the A-bomb site. You can see Peter. Oh, he spotted out the head of Uber. And Peter does take down the kill. That's actually the utility lost. Rogue are boxed in right now. They have to take the play. And Hiko, he can't do enough. And Depth's going to clean up. So on the back of that pick, a sick pick coming in from Depth, it allows compLexity to win the first round. Coming in towards match point if compLexity do take it.
Broke in terms of money and broke in terms of rounds. Really making sure that a beat from there if they have a good chance of another
if towards slamming doesn't want to be giving anything. He's tight and disciplined to compLexity are playing right now, waiting for an opportunity from Rogue to present itself.
compLexity really running down the clock in this round. They're all the way back at the fountain end outside B monster area, and it looks like the bomb's going to head towards B. Maybe pressure a bit of short A control here from compLexity and then head down connector to go for a bit of a B split. One player now rotating down into the B bomb site. That is Hiko. So let's see if this B defense is as good as for Rogue as it was in compLexity's favor last half.
Slow contact play towards B side, but I think the flashbang's been gone through, which allows Shinobi to get one pick, but Vice now following it up with the trade on towards Slemmy. So 2-for-1 in the favor of the defenders on the B side. They're going to hightail it back towards A instead. There still is Hiko holding here alongside with Whitmer, Orp and M4 in hand. And there is one of the grenades coming out from toilets. Hiko has to concede his position. Whitmer, very, very easy pick on towards Yaystar. Uber now charged. Hiko's come up. And they're just waiting for the rest of compLexity to come forward. 13 seconds. They have to make a play right now. High flashbang, easy to turn away from. There's a pick from Uber. And now Depth, just surrounded from all two angles, goes down as well. So Rogue, still alive for them yet. Every single round right now. Once again, it may not bring them the map win, but it'll give a little bit of confidence as they go in towards the next map.
Yeah, just one kill each sort of round for Rogue, and Hiko's definitely stepping up here in this match, but the others are going to need to keep chipping away, keep adding kills to the total each for Rogue, and then they might start be able to come back in this game. Hiko here for compLexity, just playing things sensibly. They've got a huge lead, no need to throw away more rounds than necessary, and let's see if they're able to damage some of the economy of Rogue and force them to rebuy some weapons. Big long A push coming in here for Rogue, and Whitmer's going to miss the shot. Has to fall back quickly, or he'll be overrun by all of the pistoling players.
He's done damage with that shot, but unfortunately misses the second one. But here comes Hiko, does a little bit more damage, stuck towards the sign, but he's still able to dance around, at least buy time for his teammates to rotate across. Shinobi just lurking out towards short water. He might make a play towards unders right now. And he has secured unders. There is only one way for compLexity to go. They have to go towards the A bomb site. If they go back, Shinobi in the real position to make a play.
Three of the compLexity players just posturing. Better to probably send Android in there first on the P250, gather a little bit of information, see if he can scout the positions of the CTs, and Hiko expecting some kind of backstab here from the B bomb site, as they do have, who is that? Looks like they've got Shinobi in the bottom of connector listening for information. I'm not sure he should be there with only 33 seconds to go. He can't do too much for his teammates, but Vice holding like a rock from the truck. Def posted up with Dior, looking for any over-aggression from Vice as Hiko rips the head off of Slemmy. 3 versus 1 here for Def. Flash goes out, and Hiko not able to trade his teammate. 1 versus 1, but luckily Shinobi coming in from the short A area was not expected by Def, and Rogue salvaged that round. Far too costly from them. They're going to have to rebuy and have absolutely no economy, and there was no investment whatsoever coming in there from compLexity.
Just basic pistols and body armor, which means that you can see the AKs as well as the AWP come out once again. Yaystar has a UMP though. He's really fallen off on the T side, but so far Rogue have shown themselves to be a lot more adept at that adept at that CT position compared towards their T side. They picked up 5 now. 2 buy rounds after the pistol round victory.
Almost a heartbreak there for Rogue, losing that anti-eco. Rolling, they need diving and want to Slemmy more kills than necessary.
And suddenly it's doable now for Rogue. Before, with the scoreline at such a hard and heavy margin, it looks a little bit scary, but if they're able to just play safe towards that B side, I mean, Vyson
But I complexity with like Slemmy communities when you're up with such a advantage against a team like Rogue. How many adjustments can it take before you eventually take a round on the board? And you only need 2 of them as Whitmer swats away the small fly that is Slemmy. Looked like a bit of an ant at that range on his screen. Double zoom, takes him out with ease, and 14-8 in favour of complexity. They're going to go for another save here. Should be getting a fair bit of loss bonus as the Rogues start to accumulate a couple of rounds in a row here, and they should be looking up onto the 5k area. So provided another heartbreak doesn't occur and Rogue doesn't almost throw away another anti-eco, we should be seeing a nice little round here coming in next round with plenty of utility available on complexity. Control crab show connect 250 and Uber being the danger man here.
Whitmer as well. He's got the AWP trained on the unders line from just back there.
Looks like a flash going to come out on the line from Slemmy. That's a beautiful one as Whitmer forced to fall back. Uber picking up 2 before he's overrun, and Whitmer's just left his teammate out in the cold.
But that was so crucial as well, because he doesn't need to fall back. Oh, what a shot from Android, but I don't think it's enough to really turn the tides of this round. Big margin.
I know, Kev. As soon as complexity picks up that 1 round that they need, the economy of Rogue looking very, very sad for everybody but Shinobi, and we're going to be looking on a bunch of players with about $2k if their complexity does pick up this round. One player will have about 3k and one player will be able to buy, so 1 rifle, couple pistols. If they do lose this round, absolutely a critical one for Rogue, undoubtedly, not only because of the scoreline, but because if they do lose this round, they've got a pretty good chance of not being able to close the next one out as well. They have taken the short B control, and complexity once again stacking up outside the B area. Don't know if I agree with this considering how well their B attack have gone the last 2 times in a row. But Def once again ready to walk out through the smoke, and different approach here for Rogue. Whitmer picks up Android. 4 versus 5 here, but they are stacked up towards the B area. Flashbangs coming in. See if Whitmer and Shinobi are able to hold this one off.
Okay, Stillman busted out these flashbangs as they're fading away. Shinobi, great shot from Yasta to get the entry on towards that B bomb site. It does mean that Whitmer has to drop down, and Vice needs to be aware of the short position, but no one's actually coming in through there, and Whitmer just stuck underneath water. Flashbangs, it just means that his screen is just effectively wiped for the entire time, and Yasta, the second entry, the 3rd kill. This is going very, very well from complexity as they're able to get these picks rolling on the back of Yasta, stepping up. 4 kills for the youngster. And complexity to manage to bring it towards match point, and as you said, Rogue have nothing to work with.
Yeah, great flashbangs utilised there from complexity. Whitmer was pretty much as blind as Ray Charles throughout the rest of that round, and there wasn't anything he could do from the pit area. Any semblance of money as he's got an AWP and Kevlar. compLexity with aggression short their opponents having some mercy, but Uber not exactly making it too easy for his team if he's going to go walking into party with a minute to go.
It was really just a chance situation. 2 seconds before, would have caught one person. 2 seconds afterwards, would have caught two. He just came out just
Lose.
just a chance for the end of the day. This is no longer a chance. It's 2-on-2 retake. This is going to be all up to positioning and skill right now for Shinobi and Hiko to try to clutch this back. And Shinobi's already far down. He's got the AWP in water. Slemmy just watching towards the column. Shinobi progresses forward. Oh, the flashbang and the peak timing. Perfect communication coming out from compLexity is now Hiko. He has no kit, and the time is ticking away. He's progressing towards Monster. He does get the kill on towards Slemmy, but he still doesn't tap the bomb. Peter can just stay there for as long as he wants. Peter has to eventually shoulder peek, and all he needs is a single bullet. And compLexity, Rogue do struggle and fight back, win a few rounds, but it's not enough. compLexity victory 16-9.
They do, and a couple key critical errors there. Definitely which again and again Rogue side not looking bad either, except against the pistols, which was a little bit of a factor yesterday as well. So their anti-eco is definitely looking like they need some work, and maybe might want to consider picking a different map.
I think they'll probably pursue with Overpass.
Be focused. Be uncompromising. Be the best.